Now, I don't particularly want to pretend I'm in middle school anymore, but I'm sure you can imagine. 12-year-old me, rocking into class, blue streaks in their hair, Italia shirt, Miku on my book bag. I'm sitting on the school computer, my teacher tells me get the fuck off Wattpad and get a real book, so obviously I go to the shelf and I reach for Peek. It's Dork Diaries. Dork Diaries first released on June 2nd, 2009 with Tales from a Not-So-Fabulous Life, talking about Nikki Maxwell and her being dorky, shy, and self-conscious, but also artistic and kind. Nikki also has a little sister named Brianna, and Nikki and Brianna are actually based off of the author's daughters, Nikki and Erin, and their middle school years. Rachel Renee Russell is the author of the books, and she is an attorney from Virginia. That being said, I read all 16. Yes, you heard that correctly. There are fucking 16 of these heifers. So we're gonna start from the top, maybe like a do-over, and start with Nikki Maxwell. Nikki Maxwell, the author of the journals. My brother. Actually, no, she has a sister. I already said that, and this is Nikki's diary. So she's going to a fancy private school on scholarship because her dad is the exterminator for said private school, so she gets to go for free. Nikki's very girly pop. She's a singer. She's an artist. She's a dancer. She has a lot of talents, too many talents, might I add, but I digress, we'll get into that soon. So then we got Chloe Garcia, and I have been referring to Nikki and her friends, the three-friend group, as the Girly Pops, so they are going to be henceforth known to me as the Girly Pops. She's very optimistic, she's girly pop, she's sensitive, she loves to read, she's a little boy crazy, but I mean, literally everyone in this fucking book are, for some reason. She's canonically Latina, and her parents own some sort of software company. Then we got Zoisha Franklin, or Zoe. She's the third girly pop. She's so sweet and understanding, but also very brutally honest, but very, very loyal. Her mama's a lawyer, and her dad is a record executive, but they're divorced. 2 Christmases, double the money. Anyways, we got Brandon Roberts. He's considered a shy loner, but he's very, very popular. Nikki and Mackenzie both have a crush on him. He also volunteers at the local animal shelter in his spare time. Then we have Miss Grade A, hater and a half, Miss Mackenzie Hollister. She's part of a group called the CCPs, cute, cool, and popular. She's also very, very girly, super into fashion, makeup, her phone, and making people fucking miserable. She has her own villains wiki dedicated to her. Nepo Baby. Fuck-ass highlights, orange spray tan, tape and extensions, trust fund, but also the first book in the series is a New York Times bestseller for 42 weeks in a row after release. It also was a 2010 Kids' Choice Award winner for the 5th and 6th grade division. We're starting here. It's Nikki's first day of 8th grade. She's going to a fancy schmancy private school because her dad got her a scholarship because he's the exterminator for the private school. She rocked up to mama and she was like, what's my present? I want a new cell phone. Give me a cell phone. She was like, no, here's a diary. Then she calls her mama brain dead, which would have got me fucking beat. Who is that? I do not think that's Nick, and I'm not jumping in for that poor balloon. Who the fuck are they? Also, to preface this, Nikki scared her little sister Brianna to say the tooth fairy actually comes in the night to steal your teeth, so now she has nightmares and pisses herself all the time, specifically on Nikki's carpet. So in the morning, she knocked on Nikki's door, and oh my god, it's Nikki pissy carpet time, but no, it's actually her parents asking how she's doing and if she's ready. It's a whole thing. She's having a mental breakdown. Nikki's locker is right beside Mackenzie's, but Mackenzie is triple G'ing, gossiping, giggling, glossing. Nikki low-key hates her, but also at the same time wants to be her friend. So like, they have so much in common. They love lip gloss. I'm trying to get to the next important thing, but I hate this picture. So we know Nikki is an artist diva. This is her book. She comes to school the next Monday and there's like posters all over the walls because of the school's annual art show. Winner gets 500 smackaroos. So she goes down to the office to sign up, but who is there but Miss Cuntimus Prime herself, Mackenzie Hollister. Nikki got scared by her icy blue eyes and aura, so she signed up to be a library shelving assistant instead. Fuck my chungus life, dude. Oh my god. So Mackenzie's birthday's coming up. Everyone's glazing her. They want to go to her birthday party. Not Brandon Roberts, though. He hates that bitch. Remember when I said earlier Mackenzie likes Brandon? Again, Brandon don't like that bitch. And Mackenzie's like, oh my god, can you come to my birthday party? And he's like, takes the fucking invitation, shoves it in his book bag, and walks away without a word.
Swift.
And then right after that, a bunch of guys trampled over Mackenzie's monogrammed $300 Vera Bradley book bag, which we all knew a bitch with a monogrammed Vera Bradley book bag. Anyways, Brandon took a picture of Nikki dissecting a frog in their biology class, and she wrote a poem about it. It hurts to feel this way, to know you'll never know me, to run my fingers through your dark and wavy hair. And then right after that, we meet Nikki's friends Chloe and Zoe, the girly pops, in the library because they're doing the shelving with her. They all sat together at lunch. They talked shit about Mackenzie. Then it happened, and there's so much shit in these books that made me physically recoil. But this, Lord. So Mackenzie's sitting in front of Nikki in their class. Mackenzie turns around in her chair and she's like, "Hey, hun," which in my brain, Mackenzie is from Dundalk, Maryland. She's like, "Hey, hun," and she hands Nikki an invitation to her birthday party. Instead of Nikki just waiting for a second, she rips it open and she's like, "Oh my God, thank you so much." And Mackenzie's like, ugh. So the whole class is looking at Nikki, laughing at her, and Mackenzie's explaining, like, "I didn't want you to have the invite. I wanted you to pass it to the girl behind you, Jessica, my friend, and she ripped my fucking invitation open like a gorilla." So then Nikki called herself a word that I frequently got called in middle school and high school, and she didn't do any work in her math class, and she called herself a loser too. This book came out in 2009. Moving on. Mackenzie and Nikki both go down to the office to submit their forms for the art competition. The next day at lunch, Jessica trips her in front of all of her classmates. She's covered in spaghetti. Everyone's laughing at her. But then Nikki sees a camera dangling over her head. And you want to know who it was? Bitch, it was Brandon. Coming to save the day. He helps her up, gives her a napkin, asks her if she's okay. She calls herself the R word again. We're moving on. She goes squee, you go squee, we all go squee. She hides in a janitor closet. Zoe and Chloe come in to cheer her up. It's a whole fucking thing. It's a shit show. So later down the line, Brandon is hyping Nikki up for the art competition, saying that she has more talent in a single burp than Mackenzie has on her whole body. He's glazing. He's glazing. Zoe and Chloe see Brandon mid-glaze and they're like, "Oh my God." Brandon's like, "Hey guys." And they're like, "Oh my God." Then Zoe and Chloe are like, "Ooh, do you like him?" And she's like, "Hey, remember last week at lunch when I got tripped and covered in spaghetti? I still have the napkin in my book bag. I like to smell it." If you kept that napkin in your book bag, wouldn't it low-key mold? You're lucky your dad's an exterminator, Miss Rochi. Speaking of Miss Rochi, Nikki and her little sister Brianna get picked up from the movie theaters by Nikki's dad, which...
unexpected item in...
So Nikki's dad pulls up in the lifted Roach F-250, but he's got to make a house call. So he drives down the road, finds the nearest McMansion, pulls up, he goes inside. After 5 minutes, Brianna's like, "I gotta pee." So Nikki rocks up to the front door with Brianna, and the owner of the home is like, "Yeah, you can just go in my daughter's room. There's a bathroom in there." She's standing there for like 5 minutes. So Nikki is standing outside the bathroom in this random girl's bedroom, looking around like, "Damn, this is something out of MTV Cribs. Like, this is fucking crazy." And then she hears a familiar voice. You want to know who the familiar voice is? I bet you can guess. It's fucking Mackenzie. Nikki's banging on the door like, "Oh my God, get out of the bathroom." Nikki's like, "Oh my fucking God, get out of the bathroom. The tooth fairy's here, she's gonna kill you and take your teeth." Mackenzie slowly approaching, getting closer and closer. Brianna opens the door and she's like, "Oh my God." And Nikki grabs her, puts her in the shower, and is holding her hand over her mouth. Brianna bites Nikki's hand and runs into the bedroom with Mackenzie. Mackenzie thinks that this is her little sister's friend. Mackenzie's hobbling down the stairs because Brianna just kicked the fuck out of her shin. When Nikki successfully hears that Mackenzie is downstairs, she grabs Brianna, runs out the door, and gets back into her dad's van. They fucking made it. I also forgot to mention a whole subplot of the girly pops giving people tattoos so that way people turn in books for a book drive. I just thought I'd add that here because it was pertinent to the story. The next Monday, Nikki overslept and she was almost late for school, but she caught her dad leaving in the Roachmobile just in time. So she gets to school, her dad drops her off, but it's pouring down rain. She's still wearing her bunny slippers, by the way. So Nikki gets out of the truck. Mackenzie sees that her dad's an exterminator. So Mackenzie starts making fun of Nikki, and she doesn't realize her dad is pulling away and completely ran over her art project and like split it into multiple pieces. Mackenzie gets some jabs in, and she's just crying in the middle of the rain. But then Nikki feels she's not getting hit with rain anymore. You want to know why? Brandon's holding an umbrella over her head. Brandon tries to cheer her up. Chloe and Zoe try to cheer her up. It doesn't work. She goes home early. Then the next day, she stays home from school. She calls into the library because she wants Zoe and Chloe to cheer her up. But Chloe and Zoe are with Brandon in the library, and they're like, we gotta go. We can't talk to you. So they hang up on her. Nikki's like, dude, fuck my chungus life, I don't want to be there anymore, and she convinces her mom and dad to just transfer her back to public school. The next day, she gets to school early to get her stuff out of her locker, and so her parents can finalize her getting all transferred. She wants to see who won the school art contest, so she walks over, she sees Mackenzie's stuff, and she's like, oh my god, wow, that looks amazing, all the art's great. But she sees that Mackenzie isn't first place. The winner is actually a series of 16 8x10 black and white photos called the student body. And it's actually a bunch of close-up photos of all the tattoos that Nikki had done over the past couple weeks for the library drive with her name on it. And she actually won the contest because that's what the girly pops and Brandon were doing in the library the day before. She runs back down to the office, tells her parents she doesn't actually want to transfer anymore, says thank you to Chloe and Zoe, and then Brandon asks Nikki to be his lab partner in biology class. And that's the end of the first book. The Halloween dance is in 3 weeks. Mackenzie, the certified tape and extension menace, convinces everyone that Brandon already has a date to the dance. Who is it? Allegedly, it's Mackenzie. Which honestly, that makes zero sense given how every conversation that Nikki and Brandon have had about Mackenzie, Brandon's talking more shit than a commentary channel in 2025 trying to be leafy is here. Like, Brandon hates her fucking guts. So instead of just going to Brandon and talking to him like a normal person, which is a common occurrence, she decides to volunteer face painting at her little sister's ballet recital. There's also multiple instances of Brandon actively trying to ask Nikki to go to the dance with him and then getting interrupted by Mackenzie. But oh my god, plot twist, Mackenzie was lying the entire time. Who would have thunk it? So now Nikki's sweating like a whore in church because she has 2 things to do the same night. And on top of that, all the girly pops, Zoe, Chloe, and Nikki, also volunteered to do janitorial service for the dance. So she has 3 things to do on the same night. So Mackenzie, being the evil mastermind that she is, invites all 3 of the girly pops and Brandon to her 14th birthday party, right? Nikki goes out, buys a new fancy smancy dress so she can feel like she can fit in, and then Jessica at the party spills chocolate from the chocolate fountain all over her brand new dress. Nikki obviously leaves. Brandon is confused because he was going to ask her to the dance at that party again, and then Nikki runs out so he can't ask her. And on top of that, the dance might get canceled now because Mackenzie dropped out from being an organizer, and then everyone else dropped out from being an organizer. So Nikki volunteered for that as well. So the dance isn't going to be at the school anymore. So now these are all the things that Nikki has to do. She has to figure out where the dance is going to be. She has to help set up for the dance. She has to do janitorial duty for the dance. She also has to do the face painting for her little sister's ballet recital. And on top of that, she has to find time to hang out with and dance with Chloe and Zoe and Brandon. Okay, y'all, do we think that Nikki is going to actively communicate this to her friends and loved ones? The answer is no. Because of fucking course not. And the reason that Mackenzie isn't on the dance committee anymore is because she asked Brandon to the dance and he said, fuck no. Nibbles, do you have anything to say given the circumstances with Nikki and Mackenzie and Brandon and the girly pops?
It's been a year, Daddy.
Everything comes to a head on Halloween night. Nikki's trying to be a good sister, a good friend, and a good student. And on top of that, trying not to be a total fucking loser while doing it. She's also trying to switch out of 3 costumes at a time. She has a really pretty Juliet dress. She's a face painting rat for her sister's recital. And the girly pops for their janitorial duty, they're all in big trash bags. Mackenzie steals Nikki's rat costume because Nikki's running back and forth between venues. The little girls from the dance recital are following Nikki back and forth between the venues. Now everyone's like, why the fuck are there a bunch of 5-year-olds here? So Nikki steals the rat costume back, and then on top of that, people are like, whose fucking kids are these? And Mackenzie is like, this is Nikki's fault. Unveils that Nikki is actually in the rat costume, and Nikki is like, oh yeah, the kids followed me from the dance recital. Everyone is gonna hate me. I'm so sorry. I'm trying to do so much shit. And obviously, no one is mad at her. They just want to know why they didn't actively communicate that they have all this shit going on because they would have understood. Nikki didn't even tell the girly pops that Brandon asked her to the dance because they were like, if you would have told us, we would have just taken care of janitorial duty so you guys could be cute at the dance together. Nikki doesn't get in trouble. She ends up slow dancing with Brandon at the dance, and it was really cute. When I was a kid, this was my favorite one. I've only read up to 4, So after the next book, I'm going in completely blind. Nikki's trying to grasp the fact that Brandon actually likes her, so she wants to go to the mall with Girly Pops. But Nikki's mom says no, she wants to go look for a new toaster, so Nikki has to babysit her little sister. So Brianna, she's not digging in her butt at least, but she's digging in the water fountain, trying to collect coins, and then she's begging Nikki to take her to Queasy Cheesy, which I know what you are, Charles. They're inside of Queasy Cheesy having a good time. To preface this, the only reason that they went to Queasy Cheesy is because Brianna offered to pay for their meal. So Brianna throws a fit because Nikki doesn't want to go on stage and dance with her, and she refuses to pay for the meal. So to not get arrested, Nikki goes on stage with Brianna and starts hopping, bopping, singing, and dancing. The audience was fucking with it. Everyone liked it, and then Nikki heard giggling. You wanna know who the fucking giggling was? Mackenzie! And then Mackenzie puts it on YouTube. It gets 7 views. Nikki's freaking the fuck out about it. I digress. Brandon disappears because he's training a new person for the school newspaper. But also the school has an ant problem, so her dad might have to come up to the school to fix said ant problem, and she's like super embarrassed. So she's super embarrassed about the fact that her dad might be coming to the school, but that's the same day that the talent show gets announced, and there's like a celebrity judge named Trevor Chase from 15 Minutes of Fame. This guy's kind of important to the lore. Mackenzie's obviously doing the talent show and she's trying to put together a group to win. Mackenzie and Nikki have a verbal altercation in the hallway. She says Nikki has mac and cheese breath, which she did low-key eat mac and cheese this morning, so I mean, The Girly Pops are in the library trying to decide what they're gonna do for the talent show, and all 3 of them come to the consensus that they're like, okay, whatever, we're not gonna actually do the talent show. And the girlies notice that Nikki is acting a little weird. Mind you, Nikki has not told them about the scholarship, she has not told them about her dad, and she has not told them about, like, Mackenzie being a bitch. Mackenzie's trying to convince Zoe and Chloe to join her group for the talent show, but they're like, no, we don't wanna join unless Nikki joins. So cute, right? No, it's not, because guess what? Because Chloe and Zoe, they do end up joining Mackenzie's group because there's 2 boys that they like in Mackenzie's group, Jason and Ryan, and they low-key wanted to be their dance partners. Also, you want to know why there's a bug problem in the school? Mackenzie! Mackenzie's releasing bugs in the school, so Nikki's dad will have to come to the school and expose the fact that Nikki's dad's an exterminator. So Nikki is hiding all the phone calls that the school is making to her dad. She's not telling her dad about anything, and then she gets a tuition bill in the mail. So instead of just telling her dad to go to the fucking school, she joins the damn talent show because the winner can get free tuition. And on top of that, you remember how Brandon is training a new person for the newspaper? You wanna know who the fucking new person is? Mackenzie Hollister. So Nikki's putting up posters all over the hallway being like, hey, come to my band rehearsal, come try out for my band for the talent show. Mackenzie's ripping them off the fucking walls. Nobody shows up. Nikki's in the hallway looking for her posters, wondering why no one shows up. He catches Mackenzie taking them off the wall. Nikki trips over a garbage can. Mackenzie's laughing at her. Chloe and Zoe rock up and they're like, stop laughing at our friend. And then they're like, wait, I thought you weren't doing the talent show. You told us you weren't doing it. And then Mackenzie's like, no, it's because Nikki actually hates you and she thinks you're dumb and stupid and ugly and doesn't even really want to be your friend. And she's dumb. And then Chloe, Zoe, and Mackenzie sashay away. So instead of wallowing in self-pity, Nikki goes fucking crazy. Nikki forms her own band. We got Brandon on drums. We got Violet on piano, Theodore on guitar, and Nikki's on vocals. Do they have a name for the band? No, not yet. But guess what? At the lunch table, Nikki's showing everyone the fucking Queasy Cheesy video. Everyone's going crazy. Zoe and Chloe are calling people musty for making fun of Nikki, and then they apologize and they yell at Mackenzie and quit to her face in front of everyone, and she's pissed. So we're at the final act here. Everything's coming together. Mackenzie's band goes on stage at the talent show, and I'm not gonna lie, they eat that shit up. They're choreographed and everything. They're good. But Mackenzie tries one last sabotage, so that way Nikki's band doesn't play the talent show. Because you remember, they didn't actually submit a name. If the band doesn't have a name, they can't perform. So actually, the name of their band is, I'm not sure yet. Mackenzie's geeking. They all play Dorkaliciously, but at the end, they didn't win. Mackenzie's band did win, unfortunately. But all's well that ends well, because after the show, they find out that tuition bill that was in the mail, bitch, Mackenzie and Jessica sent it. What? So Nikki didn't even need the prize money for her tuition. She gets to stare lovingly into Brandon's eyes after the show, and they also get offered like to record their song with the special celebrity judge like later down the line. So this is my first update. I just finished book 3. Book 3 used to be my favorite when I was younger, when I was in middle school, but I feel like there's been like a veil over my eyes regarding these books because I don't remember them being like this, but I'm hoping that future Sky is having a good time. We'll see if I get inexplicably angry like I have the past day of reading these. So, Sky in the future, good luck. Pretend I don't got laundry back there. So we're starting off at the tail end of the other book. Nikki is in the shower. Brianna's banging on the door being like, you got someone on the phone? You got someone on the phone? I'm gonna talk to him. Brianna calls her a hairy-legged, crusty-eyed freak, and then she hears Brandon on the other end of the phone go, what? So then she gets out of the shower. She's still covered in soap. She's in a towel. She's got shampoo in her hair and shit. She's like, hi, Brandon. Oh my god, hi. So Brandon was calling Nikki to invite Nikki, Chloe, and Zoe to his birthday party. We get a squee. Nikki goes to school on Monday. They're doing an ice skating unit in gym class. They're doing a charity event. Whoever wins the charity event gets a cool $3K for whatever charity they choose. And also, if you win, you get an A in the class. The girly pops are drawn in by the money, the glory, and the chance to curb stomp Mackenzie Hollister. But they also don't know what charity they're gonna donate it to. They just want to beat Mackenzie, so. Also, sidebar here, books 1 through 4 have taken place from August to December. I get that this is like a fancy schmancy school in another tax bracket that I could never even dream of achieving, but why is it like every other week they're forcing these damn kids to perform like monkeys for them? Anyways, we get our obligatory Brandon and Nikki moment. They're at Fuzzy Friend's animal shelter. Brandon's taking pictures of Nikki with the puppies. Then we find out that Fuzzy Friends is actually in danger of closing because one of the 2 owners broke his leg and won't be able to work for a couple months, and they can't afford to hire someone to work for those 2 months. But then the girly pops are like, fuck. That's who our charity can be. That's who the charity, that's the charity we can do for the charity event, the skating charity event that we're doing for charity. And the amount that they get from the charity should be able to last a few months to pay someone. Then we get a Brandon lore sidebar here because Nikki realizes that she doesn't actually know shit about Brandon. So Nikki and her mom go to the flower shop that's next door to Fuzzy Friends because she wants flowers. But Nikki goes to Fuzzy Friends instead to talk to one of the owners to be like, hey, I want to do this for charity for you. And then the owner's like, oh, another little girl actually called me, but I could feel her evil aura through the phone, so I didn't answer it. You want to know why she felt her evil aura through the phone? Because it was fucking Mackenzie trying to steal Fuzzy Friends right out from under Nikki's nose. Then we come to find out that those 2 older owners are actually Brandon's grandparents, and if they don't get that money from the charity, then they're going to have to close, and Brandon's gonna have to move away halfway through the school year. And on top of that, Brandon's parents are dead.
Oh my
Hold that.
God, bro.
Hold that. Cut to the skate rink where the girly pops are trying hard not to fall on their ass and break their tailbone. As someone who has broken their tailbone by falling off a Lowe's bucket trying to make mud soup, it's not an enjoyable experience. Anyways, they're slipping, they're tripping, Nikki is miserable, they're hitting the fucking stanky leg, she's using the nursing home 100s, it's a whole thing. Nikki keeps trying to practice her ice skating routine, but she's low-key ass. She keeps thinking about Brandon moving away, so she throws away her dignity and asks Mackenzie to just skate for Fuzzy Friends instead. So Mackenzie says no because she wants to be Brandon's shoulder to cry on when he finds out that he has to move away and Fuzzy Friends closes. But Nikki got a cell phone for Christmas. So, the ice skating show day arrives. Mackenzie is trying to sabotage. She hides their costumes and replaces them with clown costumes. And then she leaves a note being like, hey, your costumes, we found them. They're actually up here in this supply closet. And then she locks them in the supply closet. Good news though, Brianna has Nikki's cell phone. So she calls Brandon to come save them. They get back just in time to catch the end of Mackenzie's ice skating routine. And I'm not gonna lie, she's eaten more than at a Las Vegas buffet. She ate that shit up. So the girlies go on and they're still in their clown costumes, but they're slipping all over the fucking ice. They're going everywhere, this way, that way, up, down, over and around. But the crowd thinks that this is part of their routine because they're dressed up as clowns. Brianna comes onto the ice. She's popping out of boxes and shit. So the clown costumes obviously worked for their advantage here, but Mackenzie's team did in fact win the 3K. But you want to know what Nikki's team won? The joy in their hearts and the fan favorite vote from everyone in the fucking audience, bitch. And because they won the audience vote, they get a smooth 10K for Fuzzy Friends. Brandon gives Nikki flowers and a hug. Happy New Year, we're finally in January. We're opening up on New Year's Eve. They're at Nikki's house having a sleepover, making middle school memories. When I was in middle school, I was reading Hitalia fanfiction until 3 a.m., but these girly pops are playing Truth or Dare like normal middle schoolers. So Zoe dares Nikki to go fucking toilet paper Mackenzie's McMansion. After some hesitation, they all convince Nikki to go TP Mackenzie's house. They TP her house. They're hiding in the bushes because guess what? Mackenzie's out front. She catches them, and she's like, why are y'all stalking me? You did not do this. It was Brandon. Brandon TP'd my house to get my attention because he loves me. So they go back to school during the new year, and Mackenzie rocks up with a framed photo of her house covered in fucking toilet paper telling everyone that Brandon did it. On top of that, Mackenzie's dad offered Nikki's dad a job to be an exterminator for his 4 fucking apartment buildings in 4 office complexes. So Mackenzie owns Nikki, essentially. Mackenzie tries to blackmail Nikki by saying she'll tell everyone that her dad's an exterminator if she doesn't get an invite to Brandon's birthday party. So Nikki joins the school newspaper to get between Mackenzie and Brandon, and so that Mackenzie won't tell Brandon that her dad's an exterminator. So Mackenzie figures out that Nikki is doing the advice column for the newspaper. Mackenzie threatens to go to the principal with the picture of the toilet paper and says that her and the girly pops did it so that she can get expelled. But she's also saying that they egged her house, which didn't happen. So they're all sitting in the office, including Mackenzie, and then this girl named Marcy. God, there's so much shit happening. Another girl from the newspaper club named Marcy and the teacher who runs the newspaper club, Mr. Zimmerman, come in there, and Marcy's like, Mackenzie, I need to interview you. So Mackenzie's like, oh my gosh, why do you want to interview me? And Marcy hits her with a, is it true that you locked the girly pops in a storage closet during the ice skating competition and stole their costumes? And Mackenzie's like, 200 billion. And then the principal walks out and he's like, hey, you guys wanted to have a meeting with me? And Mackenzie's like, what? What? Me and my girls? Me and my girly pops? No. And then Mackenzie's like, right, girly pops? Right? And they're like, we didn't say shit. We're here because of you. So Nikki asked Brandon to give his extra invite for his birthday party to Marcy because they saved her ass. Before they went to the party, Nikki got told by her mom that, hey, your dad's gonna pick you up. Write down the address of the party so he can pick you up later. And he's picking her up in the fucking Roachmobile 9000. She writes the address incorrectly. Even so, Nikki's dad rocks up to the party, knocks on the door, and he's like, hey, I think I have the wrong address, but is this where my daughter is for this birthday party? Nikki's looking through the window going, oh my fucking God. So her dad is actively standing in the foyer, and there's a room right next to the foyer, and he calls their house phone. Nikki answers the house phone, and she's like, just drive down the street. I'm not at that house. Drive down the street. So Nikki's dad is parked down the street. Nikki tells Brandon that she has to leave his birthday party early. She leaves. Brandon's like, what the fuck is happening? Because he watches Nikki run down the dark lit street, and then he texts her later, and he's like, hey, can we go to lunch tomorrow? And also, can your dad pick me up in the Roachmobile? He already knew. It's almost as if your dad drops you off at school in the Roachmobile 50% of the time. Bitch, everyone fucking knows already. Oh my God. So Nikki is like happy dancing in her room because she's waiting for Brandon to text her to figure out what time they're going to lunch. But he never calls her. But she also finds out that after she left Brandon's birthday party in the last book, Mackenzie showed up to the birthday party. While she's waiting for Brandon to text her, her little sister is wanting to give her a makeover. She says, yeah, that's good. We're all good. She's giving her a makeover, and then Nikki hears, snap, she cut the fuck out of her hair. And then Brianna takes a picture of her and sends it to everyone in her contact list, including Brandon. And to make matters worse, she sends that picture and he immediately messages back and says, hey, I have to reschedule our plans. If I sent a fuck-ass picture to my crush and then he immediately canceled our plans right after, that would have been my 13th reason. It's Monday, it's February, it's the sweetheart dance. The girls ask the guys. Nikki's freaking out, she's too nervous to ask Brandon, but she's also worried that Mackenzie is gonna ask Brandon and then Brandon's gonna say yes. Nikki's questioning now if Brandon even likes her, which Nikki tries to get sweetheart dance tickets for all of her friends and for herself and Brandon, but they're sold out. The girly pops, they already were on it. They already bought tickets, and they bought tickets for Nikki and Brandon so Nikki can ask Brandon, "We're so back." And then later that day, Brandon's messaging Nikki and saying that he's bathing a long-haired dog and it made him think of her. Brandon! Oh my god. So Nikki fails at asking Brandon to the dance, but it works out because the day that the dance was supposed to be, there's a snowstorm, so they had to reschedule it, so she has more time to ask him. During the time that she has off school, she's reading a magazine, and in that magazine, there's a checklist that tells you if a boy actually likes you or not. She starts ticking off boxes. Dates canceled. He always texts instead of calls. He's always too busy. She's seeing the red flags, and she thinks that he literally fucking hates her and wants her to die. So they go back to school after the snowstorm, and someone, a magical mystery culprit that nobody knows who it is, starts posting those pictures of Nikki that she sent to everyone in her contacts list all over the school. And the caption for all of those pictures say, "Vote Nikki for Sweetheart Princess for the dance." And then Brandon texts her and says, "You look freaky in that picture, but you're still my friend." Brandon! But it's okay because later in the library, Brandon goes to apologize to Nikki because she was going to ask him to the dance during their biology class, and then Brandon got her in trouble on accident. So they keep saying that they're having communication troubles. So in person, they reschedule their date for this coming Saturday at 6:30. The date comes around, they're both 8th graders, so obviously it's awkward as fuck, but it's also kind of cute. But on the date, that's also not a date, Brandon reveals that Mackenzie came to the house to drop off a gift and also to ask him to the dance, but he said, fuck no. When he said no to going to the dance with her, Mackenzie tried to bribe Brandon to go to the dance with her with a donation of fuzzy friends. Girl, you're that desperate? Come on. Anyways, Nikki and Brandon are staring lovingly into each other's eyes, and then they have a cute little exchange of her trying to ask him and him finishing her sentences. Might I add, the dance was a fucking shit show. Get a load of it. Get a load of this. Nikki pulls up to the dance, but Brandon texts her and says that he's not going to the dance because he has the flu. All the girly pops are like, what the fuck? This is not like Brandon at all. And they roll up to the dance, and Brandon's at the dance talking to Mackenzie. So Nikki's going in the bathroom, she's crying, the girlies follow her to the bathroom trying to make her feel better. Chloe left to go get a drink, and Brandon saw Chloe and was like, hey, what the fuck's happening? Where's Nikki? And Chloe's like, I'm gonna fucking kill you. Chloe walks back to the bathroom. Brandon follows her to the bathroom, and he goes in the bathroom like, dude, I'm standing in the bathroom. You need to tell me what the fuck is happening. So now Nikki and Brandon are both explaining to each other that they've both been like super mean and standoffish. And while they're in the bathroom talking, Nikki gets a text from Brandon saying, I've been in the girls' bathroom talking to you for 3 minutes. You have a big problem. And Nikki's like, no, you have a problem. Brandon is obviously confused because he's like, I'm literally talking to you right now face to face and I haven't touched my phone. So they're sitting in the bathroom trying to deduce who sent these text messages. Oh my goodness, I wonder who it is. So Nikki texts Brandon saying that she threw the Tiffany necklace that Brandon got for Nikki in the dumpster behind the school because she's so heartbroken. Then they go to the dance floor, and there's a mix-up between the posters that were put up earlier in the day because Mackenzie definitely put up those posters, but Brandon also put up posters today. So Nikki, instead of fucking talking and communicating like we just did in the bathroom 2 minutes ago, Nikki's like, I'm done. She's crying. She's leaving the dance. And as she's leaving the dance, she got announced as homecoming sweetheart princess. And she's like, oh my God, what the fuck? And Brandon reveals that he actually was putting up nice posters saying to vote for Nikki for homecoming sweetheart princess. So they both go up on stage together, and while they're on stage, they look through the back window and they can see Mackenzie rummaging around in the dumpster. So then the girly pops take their pictures with their dates, and then they get to slow dance on the dance floor with their dates too. So it's spring break now, and Nikki's still coming off the high of the sweetheart dance. But the music guy, Trevor Chase, wants her and her band to record their song, Dork's Rule, tonight. So they record their song, and then after they record their song, they go to a concert called Bad Boys. Who else other than I'm literally evil Mackenzie Hollister douses Chloe with water and steals their fucking VIP passes. At the end of this video, we gotta go over all the crimes Mackenzie has committed because there's quite a few. So the girls sneak into the concert. They ninja their way past security. They're hiding in clothes racks like you've been in Walmart with your mother for a little too long. They get mistaken for the dance divas. They get put in full glam, and they're getting ready to go on stage with the bad boys until the real dance divas are like, dude. The bodyguards are threatening to call their parents and the police, but then Trevor Chase is like, actually, this is a publicity stunt. So Trevor's letting the girls know when they're recording their album that they're aiming for it to be released in June. So they're going to throw a listening party at the Swanky Hill Ski Resort during the Kids Rockin' charity event. Also, tiny footnote here, Nikki is getting her own reality show and the cameras are gonna have to follow her around at school. So Nikki immediately is like, oh fuck, everyone's gonna know my dad's an exterminator now and that I'm on scholarship. So they start filming at school the next week. All the kids are glazing them, asking for high fives and autographs. They're going to gym class and they're with this instructor called The Hawk. He's teaching them karate, but like it's a cooking show. Then they do like a flashback to the sweetheart dance and reveal that Nikki and Brandon were about to kiss while they were slow dancing, but Mackenzie came in covered in trash and was like, what the fuck? And like pushed them apart, asking where her gift was. And they were like, hey, you stole Brandon's phone. So Brandon asks Nikki to go to Fuzzy Friends the next day so they can talk about something important. Nikki misses it because her schedule is so overwhelmed with all the fucking stuff she's doing. So she finally meets him and he's like, I want you to be the subject of my photojournalism scholarship thing that I'm entering for. But the deadline is March 29th. That is the same day as the ski resort listening party for her song. Because of course it is. Why wouldn't you tell him that? But I digress. So Nikki and Brandon schedule to go to the library to take some pictures. Nikki misses it. She apologizes. They reschedule. And guess what? The time she rescheduled it for, she slept through it, so she missed it again. Brandon's pissed. I would be too. Meanwhile, Trevor, their manager, hires a choreographer for the like concert charity show thing. And guess who the choreographer is? Yeah, you're right. It's Mackenzie. Because of course it is. Mackenzie acts professional for about 2 seconds, sprays herself down with perfume, that Wild Madagascar vanilla, and then doesn't teach them anything and assigns her own videos for their homework. So Nikki's trying to be a pop star, a good friend, a good student, and she's trying to get Brandon to fall in love with her. Nikki finally snaps the next day at gym class. She 1-2 punches the karate instructor way too hard on the mat. Back at home, the cameras catch her mom trying to cook and her dad in full superhero exterminator cosplay because Nikki's mom and dad are trying to make like a cooking spin-off superhero show. So she covers Brianna in fake chicken pox so that way the producers will leave because they're anti-vax. So Mackenzie uses that free time to tell all of the production team that Nikki and Brandon are actually breaking up. So Nikki barely passed her martial arts class. Her, Chloe, and Zoe all get a yellow belt for being most improved. Then Nikki's family put on like exterminator bright yellow like suits because they couldn't afford ski suits at the lodge. So then they're going up the mountain and they find out there's also a skiing competition that Nikki has to be a part of at the lodge. Brandon's there trying to take pictures for his scholarship. Nikki is up on the mountain on the bunny slopes with her little sister. Mackenzie pushes Nikki down the mountain. And at that same time is when the competition is happening. So when Mackenzie pushes her down the mountain, for some reason, even though it looks really bad, the judges give her a perfect score and she wins the ski competition that I didn't know was a fucking subplot until about 5 minutes ago. Brandon and Nikki finally get like a good 2 minutes together by themselves at the lodge. Brandon tells Nikki if he doesn't win this scholarship money that he's not going to be able to pay tuition, he's going to have to transfer high schools. So Nikki, being the little narcissist that she is, suggests that Brandon just change the piece to the pictures that he took of her falling down the mountain and her accidentally winning the ski competition. So they go and submit it before the deadline, and then Nikki and Brandon go to the band's listening party together. So they're all about to go on stage and perform with their band, but everyone's worried that Mackenzie is going to JFK them live on stage. They also realized that all of the CDs that they were going to sell for charity and partially for profit all disappeared. They all suddenly went missing. I wonder where they went. So they're like, oh my God, what are we going to sell for charity? And they come up with the great idea of, yes, in a room full of our fans, let's do a kissing booth. They gotta pay us $3 and they can kiss us on the lips or give us a hug. Can you imagine rocking up to VidCon and giving Scott the Woz $3 to give him a kiss on the cheek? Don't answer that question. I don't wanna know. Anyways, they raised $8 grand from the kissing booth. Guess what? Brandon won his scholarship, and Brandon walked up to Nikki, gave her $5 and said he wanted to donate, and gave her a fat kiss on the lips. They kissed, they were kissing. And that was that book. I need a break. I will be back tomorrow. I'm ready to handle this mentally. My cat took Nagito's pants, so excuse him for being a little indecent today. So it's April 1st, it's April Fool's Day. Brianna stole Nikki's alarm clock, so she's running late for school. She goes downstairs after she speed runs getting ready in under 2 minutes. How she showers in 2 minutes? Did she wash the bottom of her feet? No. Did she wash her ass? No. She got in, she covered herself in water, and she called it a day. She goes downstairs, Brianna's making her a sandwich. It's gross. Brianna's like, where'd it go? Where'd my sandwich go? It is on Nikki's brand new sweater all over it. She rocks up in school, everyone's laughing at her. You wanna know who isn't laughing at her though? Brandon. Because Brandon asks Nikki to go to summer camp with him. Now we're in gym class and Mackenzie fucking chucks a dodgeball at Nikki, hitting her right in the face accidentally, knocking her the fuck out. So Nikki wakes up in Dreamland, which is why this is called Tales from a Happily Ever After. This is a fucking filler. It's another filler book. So she wakes up wearing Wicked Witch Mackenzie's magic sneakers. Her little sister Brianna is her fairy godmother. So Nikki meets Goldilocks and she's having like a porridge PR crisis. Then she literally details the big bad wolf to save Little Red Riding Hood, but Nikki's the alpha now. So then Nikki, Goldilocks, and Little Red Riding Hood go to the Mad Hatter's tea shop and they're all eating cookies, kind of kiki and just talking. Everyone in this dream, all of the characters just look like various children that Nikki go to school with. So then Rapunzel, Snow White, and Sleeping Beauty roll up to them while they're in Mad Hatter's shop and they're like, I don't want to be a princess. Being a princess fucking sucks. And then Nikki, who is the union rep for all fucking fairy tales at this point, is like, okay, L plus ratio, just swap stories. Stop fucking complaining to me, I'm 14. So they all swap fairy tale stories and then they have to leave because Nikki has to go find the Wizard of Oz. And before they rock up to this very pretty castle, fairy godmother Brianna turns a pumpkin into a carriage and then gives Nikki a brand new pretty sparkly dress. Nikki gets all fancy schmancy, she goes to this ball inside this castle. Who is the prince? Brandon's the prince. Who would have fucking guessed? So at the ball, Nikki ends up dancing with Brandon, and then she has her Cinderella moment. It's midnight. She's got to get the fuck out of there. She leaves a glass slipper. So she goes back to find the Wizard of Oz. She ends up getting captured by the Queen of Hearts, and then they put her on trial, and she declares a state of emergency because of Nikki and calls her a wicked fucking witch. So then Wicked Witch Mackenzie is like, yeah, she's definitely a wicked witch. We got to kill her. Execute her in the morning. They throw her in a dungeon and plan to execute her in the morning.
Get up, let him get up, let him get up.
So later that night, they have a big execution eve dinner. She's sitting at a table eating a bunch of meatballs, like really sad, but behind her, there's a potted plant. Guess what? It's not a potted plant. It's her little sister and fairy godmother, Brianna. She's trying to figure out an escape plan, but then bada bing, bada fucking boom, the prince, Brandon, crashes in with the Three Musketeers. You wanna know who the Three Musketeers are? The Girly Pops. And they're here to save the day. So Brandon rocks over to Nikki, puts the glass slipper on her foot, and Mackenzie's like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, I hope you die, I hope you die. So Brianna turns Mackenzie into a frog. She's an amphibia now. She switched franchises completely. So then Nikki wakes up in gym class. Everyone's huddling over her, thinking Mackenzie fucking killed her. Mackenzie gets sent to the office, and she gets in trouble. Brandon helps Nikki get up off the floor, and then they look into each other's eyes lovingly. They need to get a fucking room. Nikki has a concussion. You should let her go to the hospital instead of staring at her. Hey, Nikki, are you okay right now? I love Nikki. Hey, Nikki. I'm now on day 3 of reading all these books. Am I still wearing the same shirt from yesterday? Absolutely. Am I wearing a bra? Absolutely not, but you're gonna have to fucking deal with it. You can definitely tell that most of these books were made in the early to mid 2000s based on the slur usage. I'm on book number 9. We'll see how I feel by the time I get to book 16. Here's my desk. I'm writing. Nagito's over there. And Hatsune... Bitch. And Hatsune Miku. And Hatsune Miku. And Hatsune Miku. I'm gonna get back to work. So we are in for another shitstorm of miscommunication today for book number 9. So for book number 9, we're coming off the last book, but since the last book was all filler, we're technically coming off of them getting back from the trip that Nikki and Brandon kissed at the ski resort. So the CCPs are spreading a rumor that Brandon only kissed Nikki for a free squeezy cheesy pizza. And Nikki's like, nuh-uh, 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 he loves me, he loves me, he loves me and not you. And then they go to their class together, the one that Mackenzie sits in front of Nikki. Nikki gets a bug out of Mackenzie's hair, and Mackenzie's like, ah! And then she throws up in class. And then she accuses Nikki of putting the bug in her hair. Then after that, Nikki is in her locker, and she thinks Mackenzie's behind her, so not even turning around to see who's standing there trying to get her attention, she says, stop ruining my life, I hate you so much. But it was Brandon. It was Brandon standing there, and Brandon's like, damn, I thought we were past that at this point, but like, if you don't want to be around me, I can go. Nikki's like, huh? I thought you were Mackenzie. And then they just don't communicate. Nikki could have just been like, oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were Mackenzie fucking with me again. But no. She just lets that happen. If it were me, I would not have let that shit slide, but I digress. So Nikki goes home from school and finds out that Brianna has her class goldfish for the night. Guess what? Brianna kills it. So then Nikki and her mom have to go to the pet store to buy a new goldfish. And what is right beside the pet store? Queasy Cheesy. Guess who Nikki sees leaving Queasy Cheesy? Fucking Brandon. So she's like, oh my God. So the girly pops call Queasy Cheesy and pretend to be Brandon, and they're like, how did I pay? And guess what? Brandon paid with a gift card. So instead of the girls being like, oh, it was just Brandon's birthday, he probably got a gift card from Queasy Cheesy for his birthday, Nikki's like, he didn't kiss me. He didn't kiss me because he wanted to kiss me. He just wanted a Queasy Cheesy pizza. Nikki, can we be so fucking for real right now? So they go back to school. Mr. Zimmerman, for their newspaper class, talks to Nikki, and he's like, hey, I'm gonna upgrade your newspaper column for Miss Know-It-All to be an online column thing. Here's a username and password on a sticky note. Don't lose it. So guess what happens? Mackenzie steals her diary and steals the sticky note. The writing style completely changes. The art completely changes. And I'm not gonna lie, Nikki, her art is so cunty, it eats. It's good, it's so good. It's really good. I'm sorry, Nikki. I'm sorry, you're pissing me off. But I'm sorry, Nikki. She's starting every diary entry off with Dear Nikki. She finds the login to get into her Miss Know-It-All account, and she's purposely replying to all these letters sent to Nikki, being super, super mean and fucked up and evil and cruel, but signing them as Nikki Miss Know-It-All. So there's one letter in particular Mackenzie replies to as Miss Know-It-All that's totally definitely not Brandon. It's Brandon, trying to amend things with Nikki for the 40th fucking time. Miss Know-It-All tells Brandon to leave a note on her locker to tell her to meet her at the cupcake place. So Brandon leaves a note on her locker telling her to meet her at the cupcake place. Guess what? Nikki doesn't get the note, and Nikki doesn't show up. Then Nikki does the same thing for Brandon, leaves a note on his locker to say meet her at the cupcake place. And guess what? Brandon doesn't show up because Mackenzie stole the letter. Mackenzie stole the fucking letter. I need to lock in, y'all. I'm getting real angry. So remember, this is all in Mackenzie's POV for most of this book. So Mackenzie goes home that night and asks her parents to transfer her to Northampton Hills, which is like an even fancier, more expensive rich kid school. And her parents are like, oh my God, we have to parent our kid. So Mackenzie gets the video of Nikki getting the bug out of her hair and then Mackenzie having a total fucking meltdown. She gets that video and she uploads it online as proof that Nikki is cyberbullying her, so that way her parents will transfer schools. So then she shows her parents, and her parents are like, well, fuck, I guess we gotta transfer schools. Then Mackenzie writes in the diary that Nikki's in for a special surprise on April 28th because she auto-scheduled advice replies completely humiliating her as well as a bunch of her friends to be auto-published on the Miss Know-It-All website on April 28th. And on top of that, they're not going to be published under the pseudonym Miss Know-It-All, they're going to be published under Nikki's name. On April 28th, while Mackenzie is getting all of the stuff out of her locker, she drops her diary. Nikki picks it up, takes the leopard print cover off of it, and is like, oh my God, this is my diary. And then she reads it, and she's like, oh my fucking God. So Nikki realizes she's on a timer, she needs to get this shit figured out and done. Also, sidebar here, Chloe has pretty much not been talking this entire book. She refuses to talk. And on top of that, Brandon is also ignoring Nikki, so she's gonna like explode. So then we find out that the reason Chloe's not talking is because she just got braces, and she wrote to Miss Know-It-All as Blue in braces and said, hey, do my braces look okay? I'm really insecure about them. And Mackenzie was the one who replied to it, and she was basically like, you're so fucking ugly and you should die, go fall off a horse. So the girly pops are sprinting down to the newsroom because they have minutes to erase these auto-published time bombs that Mackenzie has set. They get in there, they change the password to the Miss Know-It-All account. They are literally on a timer that's getting down to the seconds before they are sending. It's tense, it's sweaty, I threw up on their behalf, but they did it. Then Brandon walks in, plot twist, he's got a picture of Mackenzie from 6th grade with braces. Brandon and Nikki, they're communicating right now. They're telling each other what happened. Nikki shows Brandon her diary and what Mackenzie wrote in it. They reschedule a date. The book ends on the date, and Mackenzie's at a different school. We're on double digits, y'all. We're on book 10, no more Mackenzie. We're coming off the last book with Brandon and Nikki on their date. They're doing the classic, like, oh my gosh, we're about to kiss, we're about to kiss, we're about to kiss. And guess what? I lied, Mackenzie's there. So Mackenzie gets between them as they're both about to kiss. She gets covered in cupcake. Brandon and Nikki are like, we gotta get the fuck out of here. So then they walk over to Fuzzy Friends. So now they're over at Fuzzy Friends, and guess what they find? A bunch of abandoned puppies and a dog. Then Brandon lets Nikki know the shelter's full. We can't really take these puppies, like, I don't really know what to do with them. And of course, Nikki is like, oh, I can help, I'll take them. Because fuck it, of course she does. Of course she does. So Brandon's like, okay, I trust you to help keep this a secret. Tonight we'll keep him at the shelter, we'll feed him and stuff, but because of city ordinances, we really technically can't do this. So Nikki says she'll keep it a secret for Brandon, and you wanna know who heard that? You wanna know who heard it? Can you fucking guess? Mackenzie. Mackenzie followed them from the cupcake place. Mackenzie, bro. Trigger warning. Mackenzie! I'm being so for real right now, I'm about to go get a drink. So Mackenzie threatens to call the news station on Brandon and Nikki, one for rescuing the animals, and two to say, hey, they're going to take these animals illegally. And on top of that, she wants people to see who Nikki truly is. And obviously, that's going to have this stupid fucking subplot that Nikki has about her dad being an exterminator, and she doesn't want anyone to know their dad's an exterminator, but everyone knows her fucking dad's an exterminator, and nobody cares. You ride around in the Roachmobile F-250, nobody fucking cares. We all know, Nikki. Mackenzie is on hold with the news station, and Brandon's like, oh man, I guess, Nikki, we should just go back to the cupcake place. I guess Mackenzie fooled our plan. And Nikki's like, yes, Brandon, we have to go to the cupcake store again. And then they see fucking Mackenzie sprinting down the street. Oh. Back to the cupcake store. Then they go inside Fuzzy Friends, and they're like, okay, we gotta take turns taking care of these dogs until Sunday, when the adoption fair is. So get a load of this shit, y'all. Nikki goes to school on Friday. She hides the puppies in a cage in the back of her dad's van with a fucking sheet over them that says library books. Then she gets to school and hides the fucking dogs in the janitor's closet. All the girly pops are sitting in homeroom. They have a baby monitor to listen for the dogs that immediately starts going off crazy. All the girly pops are like, oh, we have food poisoning, we gotta get out of here. And then all three of them leave class to go check on the dogs in the janitor's closet. So because hiding 7 puppies and a dog inside a janitor's closet isn't sustainable, you wanna know the second best thing that they could think of? Let's go hide it in the fucking principal's office. So they have their girl Marcy standing guard in the principal's office all day. Why she's not in class, I do not know. She's feeding the dogs, she's giving them water and shit. Then, uh-oh, the dogs get out of the cage. Oh my god! Who would have fucking guessed? So the principal rocks up, there's dogs everywhere, there's shit on the ground, there's water all over his office, he's freaking out, he don't know what's happening, the girly pops walk in, they're freaking out, they don't know what to say, and then Brandon and his friend Max rock in, and they're like, my bad, bro. The dogs are for my fucking science fair project.
Oh my god, bro.
And he believed it. I need to trim my bangs real bad. I look like a damn sheepdog. I'm supposed to be a damn hedgehog. So then we get to cut over to see how Mackenzie's doing at her new school, and guess what? She's getting bullied. Hold this fucking L, bitch! That was so mean. So Mackenzie's hiding in the bathroom stall because she's getting bullied, and then her teacher says she's skipping class, so then she got detention after school. And we did get a little bit of Mackenzie lore the last book, which I thought would have been pretty obvious given her circumstances. So her mom and dad are never home, so they just kind of give her an unlimited budget and let her buy whatever she wants, and they also put her in therapy twice a week, which how she described it, I will say, was a little sad. Here, hold on, I'm gonna read it. Mommy and Daddy send me to therapy and pay $480 an hour, and I get to talk about whatever I want because he contractually is obligated to listen to me.
It's no use!
So that is a little sad, and I will say that makes a lot of sense given how she acts, and that's definitely a coping mechanism for her home life, but I digress. She's still fucking mean. So all the puppies got adopted on Sunday. Nikki went to go pick up her little sister Brianna from ballet, and it turns out Nikki's little sister and Mackenzie's little sister are friends in ballet class, which Mackenzie's not fucking with, but I digress. So they get home, and then Nikki's sexy ass dad is like, hey, I have a surprise for you guys. And then Nikki and Brianna open up a big gift, and guess what the gift is? A puppy! And they named her Daisy. And that's that book. I get to read another one! Hooray! Book 11. Do y'all miss Mackenzie? I hope you do. Nikki gets picked for the exchange program for the middle schools, and can you guess? Can you guess what school she has to go to? Can you guess? It's the same school Mackenzie's at. So Nikki obviously has been hearing that Mackenzie's getting bullied over there at the new school, which means Nikki keeps trying to get out of going to do the student exchange program. And the principal's like, if you don't do the exchange program, you don't get to graduate. So then she has to go. So the Girly Pops and Brandon all are going to different schools. There is a singular silver lining in this. Nikki's French teacher pulls her aside and is like, hey, you're in the running for honors French, which means you might get to go on the Paris trip for this year. You just gotta thug it out at this exchange trip and I'll let you know when you get back. Which immediately raises the stakes of her surviving the week at fucking Baltimore City Detention Center, because that's how she's describing this fuck-ass school. So it's Nikki's first day at her exchange week at the new school. She's met by this school's lead mean girl, Tiffany Blaine Davenport, and her two besties, Haley and Ava. Tiffany welcomes Nikki in, takes a selfie with her. That's Tiffany's whole thing, is she likes selfies. She loves her phone. She loves selfies in her phone. So these girls aren't mean girls like Mackenzie, where she's mean to your fucking face. They're little schemers. Also, I'm gonna be referring to Tiffany, Haley, and Ava as the big three because this is this school's big three mean girls. Also, what we find out is Mackenzie has been lying to everyone, saying that all the mean shit that Mackenzie did to Nikki, Nikki actually did to Mackenzie. So Mackenzie stole Nikki's life at this school, basically. Nikki is in the hall with Tiffany, Ava, Haley, the big three, and Tiffany pushes this kid from the science club on the ground. They're all laughing at him, saying hi, and he brought his lightsaber to school, which... You know what, let me shut up. I used to bring my Minecraft iron sword to school. Matter of fact, I still got the same one. Hold on. Ladies, come at me. So Nikki obviously misses her friends from her old school, so she stops hanging out with the big three because she doesn't really align with their views. So she hangs out with the science club instead. Then later, Nikki confronts Mackenzie, being like, hey, people are saying that I'm mean because you did all these mean things to me, but you're saying that I did them to you. And Mackenzie's like, yeah. She admits that she made it all up so that people at the school would be nicer to her. And then Tiffany comes out from behind the fucking corner and says that she recorded everything and nobody's gonna replace her spot as Queen Bee, and they come from a poor, trashy school. So Tiffany's trying to make the science club shut down by making a better club, which she calls the Selfie Club, which is a club all about, you guessed it, selfies. So nobody's joining the Selfie Club other than people Tiffany is making join. So Nikki starts to help the science club, and they're like, hey, are you the girl who hates puppies? And Mackenzie, but they joined the science club. Anyways, so Nikki and Mackenzie are sitting outside at the water fountain. Nikki's trying to get some closure from Mackenzie. Mackenzie's like, everyone was ignoring me because they thought I was evil, which the jokes write themselves. So then, while they're sitting by the fountain, Tiffany falls into the fountain, drops her phone in the fountain. No more selfie club because she has no more phone. Nikki and Mackenzie record her falling into the fountain. So then Nikki and Mackenzie, who 2 seconds ago were just fighting with each other and being mutually suspicious, they both high five. And they're frenemies now. Then Nikki helps get a bunch of people signed up for the science club with like a membership drive. Nikki goes back to Westchester. Her French teacher is like, you're one of the top people in the running for this Paris trip. Then Mackenzie comes back to the school and someone wrote Bug Girl on her locker and she accuses Nikki of doing it, and Nikki would never do that, but I digress. So obviously Nikki and Mackenzie are enemies again. Nikki goes home and then Brandon comes over and helps Nikki make popcorn balls with Brianna. I'm on book 12.
fucking over this. I want to be done.
So if you thought there was a lot going on with the books before, as of book 12 is when everything, it's just a big shit show. There's so much stuff happening. There's so much miscommunication, and you'll see. So we're starting this off at the breakfast table. Nikki's thinking about Brandon real bad. Someone needs to get a spray bottle. She needs to calm the fuck down. It's 7 o'clock in the damn morning. While she's daydreaming about Brandon, their new puppy Daisy snatches a sausage off of her plate. She's chasing the fucking dog around. Brandon stops by her house in the morning before school so they can help train the dog together. So remember Trevor Chase and all the calls that Nikki was making with him? Yeah, so her band is going on tour this coming summer, which not only are they going on tour, but they're going on tour as a headliner for a band called Bad Boys. So the girly pops, Chloe and Zoe, are talking to Nikki about wanting their own reality show, and Nikki was like, dude, that almost ruined my fucking life, don't do that. And they're like, yeah, true, she's a good friend, she would support them either way. Remember the student exchange program from the last book? Well, they're doing it again. Another student is coming to their school. Nikki is afraid that it's gonna be like one of the big 3 mean girls, but it's not. It's someone named Andre. Nikki thinks Andre is a girl. Andre is not a girl. I can smell Mackenzie's orange spray tan and evil aura approaching me. I can smell it and I can feel it. I swear to God, I can feel it. So Andre gets to the school. Nikki's like, oh shit, you're a boy? That's fine. I'll show you around. You text me if you need anything. Andre ends up leaving school early. Nikki goes to her French class. Her French teacher's like, you're going to Paris! But uh-oh, she's going to Paris at the same time she's supposed to be going on tour with her band. Do you think that she's going to communicate this with anyone? No, because it's fucking Nikki. This is a Justin Timberlake situation all over again. Someone call Poppy. ASAP. Rocky. Ooh, wait. Someone get me on a beat. Ladies. Ladies. So anyways, back at school the next day. Andre obviously likes Nikki, but like in this weird new, like you're a new person, you're a new girl, like eclectic, electric sort of thing. Brandon's obviously seeing Andre flirt with Nikki and Nikki kind of reciprocating it. So Brandon's like being distant and he's confused and he's like, what the fuck is happening? So Nikki has to decide what she wants because she obviously likes Andre because he's sweet, but she likes Brandon more because they got a lot more of a connection. That's what she says. I don't know. So while Nikki is untangling the is Brandon being distant or is this all in my head crisis, Tiffany's back and she's working with Mackenzie. I knew I could spell spray tan in desperation. The bullying starts small. It's snide remarks, little whispers in the hallway. So Mackenzie and Tiffany take it online. They're posting pictures of Nikki and Andre together. They're cropping people out of them to try and make it this like scandalous betrayal against Brandon and to make it seem like they're together, but they're not together. Tiffany in particular is trying to spin Andre online as this desperate, creepy foreign exchange student flirt who just wants to fuck with everyone. The effect on Andre is the worst because he's still new at the school. He doesn't really have a lot of friends. He's still figuring it out. And then Nikki is stuck in the middle because if she defends Andre, then she is dating Andre. But if she doesn't defend Andre, then is she really his friend? Type shit. So Nikki and Andre get together and they're like, we gotta figure this out. Mackenzie and Tiffany are being fucking strategic. So this is what they do. The next couple school events, Nikki, Andre, and Brandon all show up together as friends just so the gossip can lose steam. You wanna know what happens? Nikki writes 2 letters. She writes a love letter to Brandon and she writes a letter to Andre telling him that he just wants to be friends. And guess what? Mackenzie switches the letters. And then right after Mackenzie switched the letters, Brandon was meeting Nikki at Queasy Cheesy to talk about what they were gonna do in Paris, and guess who showed up? Andre, with a bouquet of flowers for Nikki. So Brandon gets pissed and jealous and obviously leaves. Nikki is confused and also pissed, so then she leaves. It's a shit show. Then at school the next day, Tiffany posts a fucking picture with Mackenzie and with Andre together, the 3 of them. So Nikki goes to Andre to confront him because she's like, I thought you didn't like Tiffany and Mackenzie, and she won't let Andre get a word in. Then Tiffany and Mackenzie walk in the room and they're like, who the fuck stole my phone? Huh? And then the girly pops and Brandon come in the room and they're like, huh? Everyone's like, no, Andre, you wouldn't do that. And Andre was like, nah, I stole her shit. So Andre's like, yeah, I did steal her phone, but I needed it as proof to prove that she was bullying me online. And Tiffany's like, bitch, I'm gonna tell mom. And Andre was like, bitch, I'm gonna show the phone to mom. Tiffany is Andre's stepsister. Brandon and Andre apologize to each other, and then they apologize to Nikki, and then after school, Brandon comes over to help Nikki train the puppy, but Nikki still has to decide if she's going to tour with the band or go to Paris. Do I get some sort of financial compensation for reading all these books? Maybe a couple free sessions of therapy, because this shit is genuinely making me mad. We're kicking it off here with Nikki having a nightmare about Mackenzie ruining her birthday party. So Nikki confides in the Girly Pops that she wants to have a luau birthday party, and she also lets them know that her mom said, no, I only want you to spend like $100 on your birthday. So then Nikki throws a fucking hissy fit, and she's like, I don't want to have a poor people birthday party. I don't want to only spend $100 on a birthday party. I want to spend $500 on a birthday party. Then her mom's like, dude, I already sent out the invitation. Stop fucking whining. You're going to have a birthday party. So the Girly Pops do what they think they should do and break into the USPS, commit a federal crime, and try to steal the letters back. So after breaking into a government facility to get their letters back, they end up pushing a mailman over. All the letters go everywhere. They can't find the letters. They end up getting sent out. She's having the fucking birthday party. So Nikki wakes up the next morning. She's supposed to be babysitting her sister, Brianna. Guess what? Brianna's missing. So Nikki and the Girly Pops are looking all around town for her 5-year-old little sister who's missing. She ends up being at a park on the other side of town selling cookies. So Nikki ends up sitting there with the Girly Pops while Brianna and her little friend Oliver are selling cookies. Then she finds out that Brianna's selling the cookies on her own dime. So when Brianna and Nikki get home, Nikki sits at the table and starts writing letters to all the family that her mom ended up inviting to her birthday party to tell them that it's canceled. But then Brianna is like, why are you so sad? You deserve to have a birthday party. Here's all the money that I've made from selling cookies today that I earned, so you can use it for your birthday party. Brianna only agrees to let Nikki have the $500 to have her birthday party if Brianna can sell cookies at her birthday party and try and make some profit back. Nikki agrees because she wants a swanky-ass party on her sister's dime. So Nikki's 15th birthday luau party arrives. There's poolside lanterns, there's on-the-go pizza, there's island decor, there's pineapples everywhere. It's a swingers Pinterest board. And just when Nikki thinks that she's having a good birthday, guess what? Tiffany and Mackenzie show up to her birthday party. Bitch, it's your house. Tell them to leave. So while Mackenzie and Tiffany are at the party, Mackenzie is looking around. She's on the prowl for Brandon. So then Mackenzie finds Brandon and tells him that Nikki chose to go with her band for the summer.
No, that's wrong.
I accidentally switched my words up. Nikki decided to go to Paris instead of on tour with Brandon and the Girly Pops. Nikki's going full damage control for the party. Nikki texts Brandon saying that she's gonna give up her spot for the Paris trip to give to Chase so that Chase can go with Brandon so he doesn't have to go alone. And then Brandon texts Nikki back and he's like, no, I also got accepted for the France trip. I wanna go with you. I don't wanna leave you here alone. Holy fart, dude. Nikki has turned into a character I just don't recognize anymore. How are you so ungrateful that you don't want to do a $100 birthday party that your mom wants to put together with you? And on top of that, she's like, I don't want to have it anymore. I do want to have the birthday. Actually, I don't want to have the birthday. Actually, I do want to have the birthday. Actually, my little 5-year-old sister gave me $500, so now I'm going to do the birthday again. Hey, update. I'm on book 14. I've had it up to fucking here with Nikki Maxwell.
Up here.
Up here.
Up here.
Up here. I'm gonna have a fucking aneurysm about this goddamn book. I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm a little disappointed in the trajectory of these books. And now we're gonna go to book 14, and it's just gonna become more and more bullshit. So remember in the last book where I said that Nikki decided to go to Paris with Brandon instead of going on tour? So I feel like I'm having a fucking aneurysm here. She's still going on tour with the bad boys. She's trying to talk to Trevor Chase. She misses a phone call from Trevor Chase. She keeps calling him back and calling him back and calling him back, but he's not answering. I'm gonna give this one to Nikki. She does try and communicate with him. She also sends him an email. Does he reply? Absolutely not, but she does also send him an email. The Girly Pops are coming over for a sleepover because her grandmother redecorated her room. Also at the same time, guess what? She doesn't fucking tell the Girly Pops about what's happening. She doesn't tell her about Trevor Chase. She doesn't tell him about Brandon. She doesn't tell him about the tour. So after the sleepover, it's the 4th of July. Nikki, her dad, and her mom and her little sister go to the lake to have a picnic together. It's really cute. They have this nice little picnic, but her dad mentions that he wants to get on the paddle boats with his little girls, right? You wanna know what Nikki says to that? That's not a luxury cruise ship, so I don't want to get on it. Nikki, when I catch you, Nikki. Nikki, when I catch you, Nikki. Nikki, when I catch you, Nikki. Matter of fact, Nikki, let me get on the paddle boats with your daddy. Hold up. So Nikki's dad ends up renting a paddle boat anyway and makes Nikki and Brianna get on the paddle boats with him. Not only did they not read the directions, but her dad made her leave her phone with her mom so that way they could have some daddy-daughter time. So they didn't read the directions for the paddle boat. They end up getting stuck in the middle of the lake with no cell phone, so they're just floating there aimlessly. And then Trevor Chase pulls up with his giant luxury cruise ship and saves them. So Nikki gets to have dinner on a luxury cruise ship very undeservingly, and then Trevor Chase tells her that her and her band are still going on tour. And he lets her know that this whole time that he couldn't get a hold of her, that they were stuck on the lake, he was talking to Mackenzie, and Mackenzie was telling Trevor Chase that Nikki went to Paris and that she's ignoring everyone's calls so that she could go on tour instead of Nikki. So then they go on tour, and guess what? So does Mackenzie. You know what? Actually, now that I think about it, it's deserved. Let Mackenzie come on the tour and fucking torture Nikki. She deserves it. She deserves it. So Mackenzie gets to go on tour under the guise that she is a social media manager intern. And Nikki and Mackenzie end up being roommates the whole tour. So not only is Mackenzie just not taking pictures of her, so not only is Mackenzie threatening Nikki so that she can get backstage passes for the Bad Boys part of the tour, she says if she doesn't get backstage passes to the Bad Boys part of the tour, that she's going to get Fuzzy Friends shut down. Meanwhile, the other band that Nikki is on tour with, Bad Boys, they're on some, oh my god, I need to vent, I need like a motivational speech thing. And Nikki's like, stay true to yourselves and do what you love type shit. So then after Nikki gives them some motivational pep talk, they just disappear. All the contracts, they don't give a fuck. They're gone. A few hours later, the Bad Boys message Trevor Chase after everyone's looking for them for hours and hours and hours on end. And they're like, we need to find ourselves, and like, we can't do that while we're on tour, so we're quitting the tour. So then Trevor Chase cancels the remainder of the tour, so now Nikki can go to Paris with Brandon as planned. Yes, it's happening. I'm also so tired of this pop star shtick. I'm over it. I'm done. I don't fuck with it anymore. It's just annoying. We're on book 15!
Oh my fucking god.
So this book is immediately coming off of book 14. The Bad Boys tour just ended. It is the last concert of the tour. Nikki face plants and falls off stage. Mackenzie records it. So after the tour, Trevor Chase reaches out to Nikki and apologizes for the tour imploding on itself and for everyone making fun of her online for falling off the stage. He just tells Nikki, I'm gonna invite you and all your band members on an all-exclusive paid tour of Paris. He's giving her like an allowance, and he's also paying for the rest of the band members to go on tour. And guess what? She doesn't tell anyone. She doesn't tell anyone that her manager offered all of them to go to Paris together, all expense paid. So Nikki, by herself, is spiraling. She's stressed out. She's scared about who's going to chaperone the trip, all of the schedules, and the possibility that it's not going to work out. But, you know, if she would have talked to any of her friends about it, she could have worked it out. But I digress. And guess what? On top of that, her good friends, Chloe and Zoe, the girly pops, reach out to her and are like, hey, we know that you really wanted to go to art camp this summer, so we paid for you to go to art camp in a week. They're supposed to be leaving to go to Paris in 4 days, and she still hasn't told them. So then she's like, oh my god, thank you so much for doing that for me. You guys are great friends. And then turns around the next day, calls everyone in a big group call, and she's like, hey, what are your guys' plans for the next 3 days? And everyone's like, oh, I have this trip. I have this trip coming up. I have this trip. And Nikki's like, you should cancel that and come to Paris. All expenses paid. If I was 15 and I went to my mom and said, hey, my friend just invited me to go to Paris, all expenses paid. And she was like, oh, when are you going? And I was like, 3 days. My mom would be like, are you fucking stupid? 3 days? So it's the day that they're supposed to be leaving to go on tour. And Nikki has piles and piles and piles of dirty clothes. So while they're in Paris, they're supposed to be taking like promotional photos for their next tour, right? So Nikki was given a $5,000 costume by Trevor Chase, and guess what? It's laying in her fucking dirty clothes. You know, the pile of dirty clothes that she just threw in the garbage that the garbage truck just took away. So now all the girly pops are in the airport. Nikki can't find her passport, so then she opens her bag to look for her passport, and guess what? There's nothing in the bag other than Brianna's Sugar Plum Fairy fucking backpack with a teddy bear in it, and her passport, and a pair of pajamas. and that's it. No clothes, and they're getting ready to get on the plane. So then she goes to the bathroom, puts Brianna's teddy bear and her backpack into the garbage can, and then runs back and gets on the plane. But as Nikki's getting on the plane, an old lady gives her the book bag back and says, you forgot this in the bathroom, by the way. So now Nikki's getting onto the plane with her little sister's Sugar Plum Fairy backpack, and Mackenzie stole her seat next to Brandon and is now making fun of her and for her little sister's Sugar Plum backpack and her teddy bear. But when the girly pops get to Paris, they all three take a really cute picture together, and Zoe's hair's done and she's got her baby hairs out. It looks so cute. But I am still mad because Chloe and Zoe got really dumbed down as characters, and they've just kind of turned into like little yes men. Also, Nikki looks like Taylor Swift now. When she got off the plane, Nikki's mom told her that she could use her credit card to buy clothes. They all go to a French cafe. Nikki goes up to the barista and basically tells her in broken French to smell her stinky feet, and then she gets chased out with a broom. So then Brandon asks Nikki on a date. They're sitting on their date for no longer than 5 minutes, and then Mackenzie and their manager shows up, and they're like, hey, guess what? We have another intern here. You know him. He's only here to create tension with Brandon. It's Andre! The author's literally doing Edward Bella Jacob.
Huh?
She's doing Nagito Chiaki and Hajime.
Huh?
So does that mean Andre and Brandon... Wait. Oh my God, this next part of the book, I need a bucket. I'm gonna throw up. Okay, so Nikki does end up using her mama's credit card to buy a bunch of clothes at a place called Mi Amor. So then technically, because Andre is her intern while she's in Paris, she tells Andre to go to Mi Amor to pick up her clothes. And while Andre's picking up Nikki's clothes, Brandon knocks on Nikki's door and is like, hello, here's a bunch of chocolates and an I Heart Paris mug. You want to go to take pictures at the fountain? So while all that's happening upstairs with Nikki and Brandon, Andre's walking back into the hotel. He has all the bags of clothes that Nikki bought, right? But when he walks in, his like auntie or something works at the hotel, and she's like, there's no plastic bags allowed here. You have to individually wrap like a present all of these clothes that she just bought to give them to her. So, while Brandon's up in the room with Nikki, being all nice and sweet, asking her to go to the fountain and take pictures with him, Andre walks in the room with a bellhop cart full of gifts and says, Mi amor, for you. Oh my God. Brandon's fucking pissed, dude. He's yelling at Andre, going, I thought we worked this out. Why are you calling my girl her full government? You know her social security number too? What the fuck?
For real, bitch. No, you're not gonna call me no bitch, because I'm not none of these girls. I'm gonna whip your ass, 'cause I'm not none of them.
Andre's confused. Brandon's pissed. Nikki is upset. They all leave because they have a meeting to go to. So Nikki ends up going to this meeting with Mackenzie, and they're walking to the meeting. They're walking through the streets of Paris. And then Mackenzie spots a really long line, and she's like, oh my gosh, this has to be for some Paris pop-up boutique. And we have to stand in this line. And the line is actually inside of the Paris catacombs. And they get lost in the Paris catacombs together. So you remember that $5,000 designer dress that Nikki threw away because she didn't want to do her fucking laundry? Yeah, well, the photo shoot for that dress is today in a couple hours. They end up going to a random boutique to try and find a dress that looks somewhat similar to the $5,000 dress, but obviously it's a one-of-a-kind dress, so they don't have enough money to get it. So Mackenzie buys the dress thinking it's for Zoe, but Zoe doesn't tell Mackenzie the dress is actually for Nikki. So when Zoe tries to take the dress from Mackenzie, Mackenzie keeps it. She's like, no, I'm gonna give it to you for your birthday. Actually, matter of fact, I bought it, so I'm gonna keep it. Zoe is trying to convince Mackenzie to give the dress back, and Nikki is having a full-on fucking breakdown, and Mackenzie just rips the dress. Mackenzie rips the dress in half. Nikki's freaking the fuck out. So Nikki goes back to her hotel room, and she starts to text her manager to be like, hey, I'm not doing any photo shoots today. I don't feel good. Yeah, sure, okay, excuse. But guess what? She goes into the book bag that Brianna brought to hug that teddy bear to make herself feel better, and guess what's under the teddy bear, bitch? The fucking dress. Brianna saves the day. So they do the photo shoot, they end up on a magazine cover, and then they go home on the plane. Nikki sits next to Brandon. Mind you, Nikki and Brandon, they didn't communicate at all. Nikki just didn't talk to Brandon about what happened. So on the plane, Brandon's sulking, and he's like, if you want to be with Andre, I understand. I just want you to be happy, dude. I don't want to be pulled around like this. So then Nikki was like, dude, my mom bought all that stuff. And also, Andre wasn't calling me Mi Amor. That was the name of the clothes shop that I bought the clothes from. And if you would have just communicated that immediately after it happened, that wouldn't have happened. Then Brandon's like, my bad, twin. I should have communicated with you, but if he calls you Nicole again, this is gonna be a dork eulogy, not a dork diary. That is the end of book 15. I'm coming full circle. I don't like Nikki anymore. I understand why people on the internet like Mackenzie more than Nikki at this point. Nikki as a character is not relatable anymore, and she does not know how to communicate. She has had these friends for a year at this point, and these friends have proven time and time and time and time again that they have Nikki's back, and Nikki should trust them. And every single time, she chooses not to trust them.
Sorry, Skedgie, I need to take your viewers for a second. Crack me open one of these cold beers. Oh, that 4th and 29 lager, more like 4th and 29 shitter. What the fuck is that? This video would not have been made possible without my local library. Every single day, there is another book being banned from public schools and being banned from people like you. I'm talking Fahrenheit 451, Mouse, To Kill a Mockingbird, Animal Farm, very, very important formative books that you could get at your local library. Local libraries and local library programs aren't just helping you, they're helping your local community. They're giving story times to kids. There's book clubs, there's senior programs, there's job search support, there's classes and workshops for all ages. So what I'm asking you is to go get a library card today, because a lot of the local library's funding is based on the amount of people that come through those doors every single day. Now, if you'll excuse me, after I finish this fuck-ass nasty beer, I'm gonna go to my local library and hang out in the classic American literature section, maybe pick up a baddie or two. Listen, I may not look it, but I voted for Kamala. So, amen to that.
I'm not gonna lie to y'all, this book is a crock of crap. For it to be the most recent book in the series, and this is how it's going to go, let's go, shall we? So Nikki is in high school now. She is a freshman, but it is very apparent how burnt out she is because of all the bullshit that she's been doing the past 15 books. She has not gotten a single moment to breathe and to rest and to recuperate from all the bullshit she's been putting herself through. And guess what? She passes out at school. And guess what on top of that? Her appendix burst. Nikki is dead.
Oh, we're so sorry to hear about your brother that passed away. He gets 5 big pulls.
So y'all remember when Mackenzie stole her diary a few books back? Yeah, well, Brianna just stole her diary. Her 6-year-old little sister, who can barely write. Yeah. I do, however, appreciate the perspective of seeing everything through the lens of a 6-year-old who doesn't particularly know what's going on around her. Nikki is going into surgery. Her phone is on silent. The weight of everything that has just happened to her over the past year is finally setting in. The obligation to her friends, high school dread, all the pointless drama, the lack of communication, and the expectation that she has to keep going is all finally crashing down on her as she's being escorted to surgery. But it's okay, she doesn't die. When Nikki gets up from her surgery, she realizes that Brianna's the one who's been writing in her diary this whole time while she's been MIA in the hospital. Brianna's innocent version of events in the diary is kind of like a mirror reflection for Nikki. It's reminding her why the diary existed in the first place, telling her that she has the right to take a step back and take it slow and that she doesn't have to be afraid. The little sister who was previously seen as bratty and annoyance and really only used to push the plot, now was the only person to see Nikki breaking down and burning out. As much as I'm not particularly a fan of this one, the hospital arc isn't just a mediocre plot device, it's a metaphorical stop sign for Nikki. And that stop sign is reality. The reality is you need to take care of yourself. You need to stop, you need to breathe, you need to take a break, or else reality's gonna hit you like a fucking truck. Nikki gets visited by the girly pops in the hospital, and then she gets visited by Brandon in the hospital, which makes her feel bad because now she's still in shock. She's painfully aware of how much she's been running herself ragged over the past year. Nikki laying in the hospital bed with Brandon beside her is super, super vulnerable, and she's realizing that he's not here out of obligation. He's here because he's worried and he cares about her. Her parents also come in with Brianna, and she's finally surrounded by people who actually love her and have her back at times that she needed it the most. So maybe now with the hospital arc, Nikki will realize, oh, the people who came to visit me at the hospital do truly love me and want what's best for me, so I'm not gonna keep secrets from them and I'm gonna communicate my feelings effectively. Maybe.
You put a bug in my cup. I will shut the fuck up.
Only 1 year has passed in the span of Dork Diaries, but for readers like me, it's been 16 years. I understand that times have changed, and children now, in comparison to what they were 16 years ago, are very, very different. But they have truly become different characters in comparison to 16 years ago, 5 years ago, 4 years ago. I'm talking like, I don't think I've recognized Nikki since like book 7. It doesn't feel like I'm reading a 14-year-old's diary with cute little doodles and stickers and sticky notes, and it's more than me just growing up. It is distinct differences in these characters and who they are as people. Yes, these books are entertaining to an extent, but that is at a cost of character development. Chloe and Zoe feel less like their own characters with their own abilities and their own interests and skills, and they've just turned into Nikki's yes men. Nikki and the Girly Pops have just turned into their own versions of the CCPs. Nikki is not a relatable underdog character anymore, and she hasn't been for a very long time. It's to the point where you really start to feel bad for Mackenzie, who is portrayed as the villain in this series. Yes, Mackenzie is spoiled rotten by all matters of the word, but for Nikki to go from this character who doesn't have the money like the people around her, who is thankful for her scholarship, whose father is a nice, hard-working, blue-collar man, this abrupt shift from her being this nice, polite little girl who's constantly grateful to this low-key, mean, spoiled girl who needs designer clothing, who lies to her friends, who's ungrateful for the things around her, she's just Mackenzie now. She's just Mackenzie who wins all the time. Even when she loses to Mackenzie, she still ends up on top and bettering her with a better prize or a better outcome every time. On top of that, I think we can all agree the pop star plot, too fucking long. I think the pop star plot would have worked better if we focused on the negatives of being a child star. Unrealistic high standards, burnout, bullying, end of friendships, selfishness. It would have tied the events of book 16 and her going to the hospital and this abrupt personality shift way more. Nikki is not relatable anymore. Not to middle schoolers, not to high schoolers, not 24-year-olds sitting alone in their apartment with nothing better to do. I can also go in on the art style switch up. It's giving American Dragon Jake Long. It's less like a mother and daughter working tirelessly on a book together and more millennial gray corporate. All in all, I can definitely recommend up to book 6, maybe up to book 9, because Mackenzie, I really liked the utilization that it feels like a real diary where someone steals the diary and writes in it. I liked that it was Mackenzie. I did like that. I really do hope that the author gets it together for these characters' high school arc that they're having, and that they're going to actually grow and be more than just like yes men or people on the side, rather than it just being Mackenzie, Brandon, and Nikki. Every book after book 9 felt like a lot of filler and padding, and I don't recognize 99% of the characters anymore, other than Brandon. He's a real one. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to lay in bed and mourn my lost childhood, because this series made me a little sad because it didn't turn out very well.
How was your day, Foxy?